Good morning. This is Susan, and I will be reading the Provincetown banner for Thursday, April 16th. The top story is why drilling underneath Cape Cod Canal is required, and there's a big picture here of the canal. Cape Cod Times. Work to install a natural gas pipeline under the Cape Cod Canal is expected to begin in January 27 and must be in place by the start of construction on the new Sagamore Bridge set for the winter of 27-28, according to the contractor overseeing the job. The huge project also calls for removing about 3 miles of existing gas lines that are attached or adjacent to the existing bridges and building a new 3.4-mile, 16-inch gas line on the Cape Cod side of the canal from Bourne Bridge Rotary to the Sagamore Bridge, according to the State Department of Transportation. The project also calls for removing 2 metering and regulating stations and adding 4 new stations. Relocating the gas lines for Sagamore Bridge is scheduled to be done by January 28, said Melissa Shelburne, spokesperson for contractor Enbridge, Inc., in an April 6 email. The Sagamore meter stations are set to be operational at the same time. The Bourne meter station are set to go online in November of 28. Enbridge is an international drilling company headquartered in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, that along with its Algonquin subsidiary delivers natural gas to National Grid for Cape Cod homes and business. The State Department of Transportation awarded the $301 million gas line project in December of 24. Next article on the front page is Harwich herring permits sell. Wampanoag tribe protests. Harwichport, a line of people seeking a herring fishing license spilled out of the Natural Resource Department's door onto the waterfront deck and wound its way down the handicapped accessible ramp on Saturday morning. The throngs of people were in a celebratory mood because Harwich, through the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission initiative, will open its Johnson's Flume herring run for the first time since 2004, when the harvest was halted amid concerns about declining fish populations. A group of Wampanoag tribe members joined the line around 11 a.m. to also buy permits. Federally recognized tribe members aren't required to carry a license to fish or hunt, but Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe Secretary Talia Landry told the Times that they were purchasing permits to protest the town's decision to reopen the flume and to protect what she calls the tribe's herring relatives. As of Tuesday morning, the town had 53 residential permits remaining, but sold out all of its out-of-town licenses, according to Natural Resources Department Director Stephanie Ridner, including 3 that tribe members purchased. We're here to say that the herring don't consent, said Landry, who is protesting alongside the Native Environmental Ambassadors, a group of indigenous youth who helped to pass a tribal rights of herring law that decrees herring have a right to migrate freely, procreate abundantly, and safely make their journey back to sea. Bobby Parr of Harwich was also in line to purchase a permit. Parr's stepfather, he said, would take him to the run when he was a child. Back then, anyone could take herring, recalled Parr, who said he plans to harvest herring 1 or 2 times at most. I want to do like the Native Americans do and plant our small garden with the herring, said Parr. Division of Marine Fisheries Senior Marine Fisheries Biologist Bradford Chase was happy about the turnout, but said he understands why the tribe is concerned about the harvest. It's a good approach to be conservative this year and not to take too many, said Chase, but we would like to see some access for people who haven't been able to get fish for over 20 years. The town and the state enact multi-year harvest plan. The Harwich Select Board voted unanimously to allow a limited recreational harvest at Johnson's Flume at the West Reservoir in the Bell's Neck Conservation Area, starting in April, reviving a traditional practice. Harwich is the first Cape town to implement a plan under the framework. 2 other plans, one for the Nemasket River in Middleborough and Lakeville, and one for Herring Brook in Pembroke have been approved through the same commission process, but have not yet been put into active use with permits and scheduled harvest windows. During Monday's Select Board meeting, Landry said the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe would be submitting an objection letter to the board and to the Massachusetts delegation. We see this action as another attempt to degrade our natural resources that we rely on for personal and community needs, she said at the time. We have seen no sound justification to reopen the herring run and allow fishing for sport and recreation that will deplete our already threatened fish counts. Next article. State Senate advances bill that would ban plastic bags. The Massachusetts legislature advanced a sweeping environmental bond bill April 8th that includes a provision to ban single-use plastic bags and charge a fee for paper bags at stores across the state. The legislation responds to an increasingly littered natural world by removing single-use plastic bags from retail checkout counters, the Massachusetts Senate said in a statement. A plastic bag tossed to the side of a road can pose immediate risk, such as the suffocation or starvation of wildlife, while also fragmenting over time into microplastics that pollute. According to the press release, Massachusetts residents use more than 2 billion plastic bags every year. The legislator said that the bill provides reasonable limits on wasteful single-use plastic products. It mandates that a store cannot provide a customer with a bag unless it is a recycled paper bag or a reusable bag, but it adds that customers must be charged at least 10 cents per recycled paper bag. 5 cents would go to the retailer and 5 cents would go to a plastics environmental protection fund. Small stores with only one location and under 10 employees would not be required to charge for paper bags. Customers could still bring their own reusable plastic bags from home. There are 163 cities and towns in the state, including Boston, Falmouth, Quincy, and Worcester, that already restrict the use of single-use plastic bags, according to the Sierra Club. The plastic bag legislation is part of a $3.64 billion bond called the Mass Ready Act that spans a range of environmental topics, from infrastructure for climate change and severe weather to protections for drinking water. It's based on legislation originally filed by Governor Maura Healey in 2025. In addition to the plastic bag bill, the bill would allow the state to borrow up to $200 million for coastal infrastructure projects to respond to environmental hazards like rising sea levels and storm surges. Other provisions include a $450 million project to protect clean drinking water, $120 million to address PFAS, forever chemicals, in drinking water, and policies to preserve the public access to state-owned beaches, even amid rising tides that could alter entire beaches. The Committee on Ways and Means voted to advance the legislation April 8th, and the Senate was scheduled to debate the bill on April 15th. 2 affordable homes available via lottery in Brewster and Sandwich. Lottery applications are now open for 2 affordable Cape Cod homes, giving income-eligible first-time homebuyers a chance at below-market home ownership in Sandwich and Brewster. In East Sandwich, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath Cape-style home at 56 Osprey Lane is listed at $281,000 with a $50 per month HOA fee. In the Homesteads neighborhood on a cul-de-sac, the property is accepting applications through April 17th at 5 p.m. And in Brewster, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath country salt box at 26 Shawn Circle is available for $303,300. The original cost was $386,300, but the cost was reduced by $83,000 by a subsidy from the town. Applications are due by April 24th at 5 p.m. Both homes are subject to eligibility requirements, including first-time home buyer status with some exceptions, income limits, and asset caps. Applicants must earn at or below 80% of area median income and have assets under $75,000. For more information on how to apply, visit the Housing Assistance Corporation website. Massachusetts legislators reached deal on new cannabis bill. Massachusetts cannabis laws are getting an upgrade. The House on April 8 voted unanimously to accept compromise legislation that would reform the state's cannabis industry, including doubling the amount of cannabis an adult can buy or possess. The vote of 155-0 comes after legislatures announced on April 6 that they had come to a deal after the House and Senate passed differing bills related to modernizing the state's cannabis laws in 2025. The agreement charts a more promising path forward for cannabis regulation in our Commonwealth, said Senator Adam Gomez, Democrat Springfield, and Representative Daniel Donahue, Democrat Worcester, in a statement. The bill, which would implement some of the largest reforms on the cannabis industry in Massachusetts since dispensaries opened in 2018, is also expected to pass the Senate this week. It would then go to Governor Maura Healey's desk. What does the marijuana bill do? The bill, H. 5350, takes a wide range of actions from increasing possession limits to streamlining the agency that regulates the industry. Gomez and Donahue said that the bill creates new opportunities for small businesses to grow while providing those historically harmed by marijuana laws with temporary exclusive access to those opportunities. Here are some of the changes. Raises the amount of cannabis a person can possess in public or buy in one transaction from 1 to 2 ounces. 2 ounces of cannabis can often be anywhere from $300 to $700. It raises the amount of licenses one company can own from 3 to 6. It changes the makeup of the Cannabis Control Commission from 5 members to 3. All 3 members would be appointed by the governor rather than by the governor, treasurer, and attorney general, as is the case now. It requires the CCC to create new reports on the public health impacts of cannabis and the cannabis excise tax rate. It removes the rule that medical marijuana dispensaries must grow their own marijuana. It increases the threshold from 2 to 3 ounces that would incur certain penalties for those under 21. There are several other changes, too. The bill would open the door to allowing retailers to advertise sales or discounts and directs the CCC to study regulations on hemp and cannabinoids along with other measures. The bill comes as the state is considering other cannabis-related actions. The Senate Ways and Means Committee is proposing spending $1 million on a public education campaign about the risks of cannabis, according to WCVB 5, and a ballot proposal would roll back cannabis legislation in the state. Truro seeks input on recreational programs. The Truro Recreation Advisory Committee is seeking public input through a community survey aimed at shaping further recreation programs and facilities in town, according to a community announcement. The 2026 Truro Recreation Community Survey was launched April 1st and is open to all town residents and families. The survey is designed to gather feedback on recreation opportunities, programming, and facility use to help guide future planning efforts, according to the announcement. Committee members say resident participation will help ensure that Truro's recreation offerings reflect the needs and interests of the broader community. The survey is expected to take about 5 minutes to complete. The deadline to submit responses is May 18th. The survey is available online at surveymonkey.com/r/capital T lowercase r-u-r-o, capital R, capital A, capital C. Residents with questions or seeking additional information are encouraged to participate before the deadline to ensure their feedback is included in the planning process. Late Cape Cod Marine, age 27, honored with highway bridge renaming. A Route 6 overpass will be renamed in honor of a United States Marine Staff Sergeant and Sandwich High School graduate who died in 2024. The Quaker Meeting House overpass in Sandwich will be designated and known as the Raymond G. Torville Veterans Memorial Overpass, according to legislation advanced through the House and the Senate through a partnership between Senator Dylan Fernandes, Democrat, Falmouth, and State Representative Stephen, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Gearhos, Republican, West Falmouth. As a father, there are no words to fully express the loss of a son. Raymond was proud to serve his country as a U.S. Marine. We are proud of the man he became, said Raymond Torville Sr. This honor means that his name, his service, and his sacrifice will always be remembered here in the community he loved. Torville deployed to Africa, Okinawa, Indonesia, the Philippines, Spain, Timor-Leste, and Thailand, according to his obituary. Zierhos introduced the bill, which indicates Torville died by suicide on July 17, 2025. Staff Sergeant Torville exemplified the best qualities of our community and country, said Fernandes in a press release. The overpass, said Fernandes, will also serve as a memorial to all local veterans. We recognize the service of all men and women in uniform, and this legislation enshrines a permanent monument dedicated to their sacrifice for our country, he said in the release. The Massachusetts Department of Transportation is also planning to post and maintain suitable markers on the bridge. The legislation is currently waiting for Governor Maura Healey's signature. Who was Raymond Torville? Torville, 27, was a Sandwich native and served as a U.S. Marine for 10 years before he died on September 15, 2024. He joined the Young Marines at age 11, and he became a leader and role model under the mentorship of George Challis, according to his obituary. Torville enlisted in the Marine Corps during high school senior year, according to his obituary, and shipped off to Paris Island shortly after graduating from Sandwich High School in 2015. Zierhos said in a statement that Torville gave much of himself through his service. As a Gold Star father, I know the weight of this loss. I know the importance of making sure our heroes are never forgotten, he said in the release. A formal dedication survey will be held at a later date, according to the release. Corey Torville, Raymond's younger brother, said his family also recently created the Raymond G. Torville Memorial Fund, which will address PTSD and suicide prevention within the veteran community. The fund, through the Cape Cod Foundation, raised roughly $36,000 on its first year and granted $15,000 to 3 nonprofits, including Heroes in Transition, Fishing for the Mission 22, and 22 Mohawks, according to the Cape Cod Foundation website. The organization hopes to double its financial impact in 2026 by expanding partnerships, strengthening community support, and continuing to shine a light on the hidden wounds our veterans face. Raymond gave everything for his country, and through this fund, his legacy will continue to help those who serve and face challenges when they come home, said Corey Torville. The overpass is not just a tribute, but a call to honor and care for our veterans every day. New pedicab business operation rules approved at Cape Cod Town meeting. Provincetown. A return of year-round commercial air service to the outermost tip of Cape Cod will not occur, at least for now, with a no vote at town meeting on Monday. Supporters of a $332,000 annual subsidy for Cape Air winter service attempted to bring the proposal to the floor a second time but failed to gain votes for reconsideration. Town meeting also did not support constructing 4 more pickleball courts off Route 6, using $300,000 left over from the $11.7 million renovation of a sports field up the street. Voters also turned down a proposal to spend $380,000 on completing upgrades for inclusive restrooms at McMillan Pier after trans individuals and supporters spoke against the measure as an unsafe design and lacking input from the town's trans and gender nonconforming voices. "We can do better," said town meeting voter Marissa Miller, who opposed the $380,000 spending and referred town meeting and town staff to hallpassproject.org for information. In response, town manager Alex Morse told town meeting that trans and gender nonconforming voices were included in the planning for the pier restroom upgrades, but that a dispute arose over an initial $1 million price tag that was too expensive to pursue. Other inexpensive changes in signs and privacy in public restrooms across town were quickly advanced after a non-binding resolution passed at the 2025 annual town meeting. The one-night meeting in the historic town hall auditorium drew about 370 voters. The warrant contained 48 articles. There were no citizen petitions on the warrant, and there was one Proposition 2.5 override proposed for airline service. Year-round airline service. The request for $332,000 subsidy to guarantee year-round Cape Air service in Article 12 arose from the Select Board's directive. In 2024, Cape Air, the only commercial airline serving Provincetown during the summer season, told the town it could not provide winter service anymore due to financial losses. As a Proposition 2.5 override, the subsidy needed to be approved both at town meeting and the annual town election on May 12th. If approved in both instances, a contract with Cape Air would have been finalized, according to Morse, at the March 31st pre-town meeting forum. In support of the subsidy at the town meeting, Airport Commission member Brian Order argued that paying to return winter service to Provincetown Municipal Airport was a transportation infrastructure upgrade and an investment designed to rebuild demand. In the talks with Cape Air, Order said the company had agreed to promote the service widely in the region. The Select Board did not make a recommendation one way or the other on Article 12. A majority of the Finance Committee opposed it, though, saying the town would be providing a private company with a taxpayer-funded subsidy. A Proposition 2.5 override would likely never be reversed if the subsidy was no longer needed, and other air service passengers in the region needed to help pay for the subsidy. If the $332,000 subsidy had been approved, for example, the estimated property tax input would have been $48 per year on a residential property assessed at $800,000, according to the warrant. The effort during town meeting to bring the subsidy back for a second vote failed when voters opposed reconsidering it 190 to 153. Pedicab limits proposed in Provincetown. Voters approved Article 32 with one amendment, enacting a new bylaw that authorizes and regulates pedicab licensing. The article was brought forward due to the number of complaints the town has received about pedicabs and safety to pedestrians and others, according to the warrant. In 2020, the town issued 10 licenses, and in 2025, they issued 51. The highest number since 2019 was 56 licenses in 2024. $50,000 grant to Fishermen's Memorial. Article 38, which passed, will pay $50,000 to the Fishermen's Memorial Foundation to support creation of a memorial offering Provincetown's fishing heritage and the fishermen who made their living at sea. The spending was recommended by the Select Board, the Finance Committee, and the Visitor Service Board. At the town meeting, the recent loss of 2 fishermen on the FV Yankee Rose off Race Point was mentioned. The Provincetown Theater is offering a youth program during spring break. According to a community announcement, The Spring Vacation Theater Camp will take place April 2024. That may be a mistake. At the Provincetown Theater, 238 Bradford Street, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and is open to students interested in exploring various aspects of the theater. I assume they meant 2026. The program is led by teaching artist Marissa Miller, known for her role as Glinda in Wicked, and Emily Olcott, an alumni of Story Pirates. The 5-day workshop will guide students through the process of creating theater, including playwriting, design, and rehearsal. Campers can choose to perform on stage or assist with behind-the-scenes technical production. The workshop will conclude with a performance for the family and friends, followed by a reception. The Provincetown Theater Youth's program aims to foster discovery and artistry in aspiring theater makers. The workshops are designed for both beginners and experienced performers, focusing on creativity, confidence building, and community. Registration is available at provincetowntheater.org. Provincetown Theater, all one word, and theater is spelled ending in an ER, .org. For more information or to inquire about scholarship opportunities, contact Josh Quinos, Associate Director of Production and Programming, at Joshua, Joshua, at provincetowntheater.org. The Provincetown Theater is a nonprofit organization dedicated to enriching, entertaining, and educating the community through quality theater events and programming. I just have a few more minutes to read, so I'll just read the headlines. Cape Cod couple buys Orleans car wash. Orleans, the old Cape Cod car wash, has new owners. Burak Bruno and Ida Demir are taking over from the DeLauro family, who have run the business at 7 Nels Way for 36 years. Tons of boat wrap recycled yearly on Cape Cod. If you have ever wondered what happened to all that thick white plastic covering on boats stored on dry land during the winter months of Cape Cod, fortunately, all that plastic is not going into garbage trucks or landfills. A yearly program at 5 Cape Cod town transfer stations collects the covers and brings them to a recycling center in Brockton, where they are sold to processors and eventually may turn into coffee can lids, all-weather decking, or garbage bags. Blind Boys of Alabama bring gospel to Provincetown. The Blind Boys of Alabama, legends in gospel music, are set to perform 7 p.m. April 18th at Provincetown Town Hall, 260 Commercial Street. The concert, presented by the Payomet Performing Arts Center, will benefit Provincetown's community radio station, WOMR, according to community announcement. And that's all we have today from the Provincetown Banner for Thursday, April 16, 2026. Have a great day.